So it's finally back, The Mandalorian, after what seems like, well, ages, especially if you watch the Book of Boba Fett. So if you haven't guessed, I'm going to be talking about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. As always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review. And before we get into the video, I just want to say thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. But let's get to it. So this is only chapter 17. It seems like we've had a lot more of The Mandalorian than that. But it has been a while. And again, this is a pretty hard metric to judge, but this is the Star Wars show that most Star Wars fans at least seem to like. I'll be honest, I don't like to go down the Star Wars fan base rabbit hole too much, because man, that can be a dark place. So after a few trailers that didn't give much away, we get a packed episode in this first one of Season 3, and I mean absolutely packed. There was some complaining going on online before the episode dropped that it was only 37 minutes long and that was too short. But that's only about 10 minutes, or I don't even think 10 minutes shorter than the first ever Mandalorian episode. And like I say, this episode is, they force boom boom a lot in on you here. We've got gun battles, space battles, and all the Western stuff that we've come to expect from the Mandalorian show. And in the first episode, a lot of this stuff that we see is in the trailer, Navarro, the grief stuff. There's also an item which he's after on Navarro that I didn't expect, and to be honest, kind of confuses me as to why he's even after it. Even a few characters point out how weird it is that he wants this thing. And there's quite a few callbacks to Season 1 as well that I didn't expect with a few characters, but yeah, I'm not really sure where they're going with this aspect. I'll talk about it when I get into the spoiler stuff in a minute. But so far, we are getting the core plot of the season involving the Darksaber. It doesn't get too much into it in this episode, but I'm sure there's going to be a few twists and turns along the way. If you haven't seen it already, I've done a Mandalorian Season 3 theories with some spoilers in there as well video, so check it out. The link will be at the end of this one. But let's get into the episode. So yeah, I wasn't sure this opening scene was a flashback or not, with the armourer, doing her thing, being wise, cryptic and melting stuff. Because she did put a little Mandalorian helmet onto a kid and I thought, is that Din? Is that the main guy? I don't know. But yeah, that whole scene when she stepped outside the caves and all the Mandalorian are kind of on ceremony, that felt like a lot of the King's Landing stuff in Game of Thrones. I don't know if that was just me, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, we see, I guess, a boy become a Mandalorian. They don't exactly say that, but that seems to be what it is. And then we get a random Star Wars beast attack. And I mean random, because these guys are just at like the sort of shallow bit, which looks like a lake or a river. So you didn't expect this huge, like 60, whatever it is, 100-foot crocodile dinosaur thing to jump out of the water. And the whole fight, for me, did go on a little bit too long, but it was cool seeing a group of Mandalorians fight together. We haven't really seen that since Season 1 when Din had to escape Navarro, and it looked pretty good with all the water splashing about, but these guys are supposed to be very formidable fighters, and they took their time with that beast. So I guess this is just day-to-day life in the Mandalorian Death Watch cult. Now, we knew from the trailers we'd be getting a lot more Mandalorians in this season, but that was a lot for an opening scene. I mean, what is the finale going to be like? Is it going to be like Mandalorians with Endgame? I actually kind of think it is going to be like that, and I think we're going to get quite a few faces that we haven't seen in a while popping back up for the finale in this season. But anyway. But it turns out it's not Din Djarin, because he shows up in his shiny new Naboo fighter that he got in the Book of Boba Fett to blast the thing. So the boys are back. I mean, Mando and the green fella. And it turns out he's just showing up for a bit of a chat with the armourer, because not every fan's going to see the Book of Boba Fett. And they did set this season up in the last season of Book of Boba Fett. So if you haven't seen it, this is to kind of fill in the blanks. So yeah, she's still angry at him for admitting that he's taken his helmet off, and it was because it's his own choice rather than he was forced. So Mando's got to atone for his sins. But yeah, I don't really get why, because throughout the entire Mandalorian show, he's mostly on his own. He has even met other Mandalorians that are a bit more tolerant with the whole taking the helmet off thing. So I don't get why he wants to get back in with these guys so badly. So yeah, he's got to go back to Mandalore and bathe in the waters there to sort of atone, but the problem is the Empire completely nuked and destroyed Mandalore. But he does have a mystery object that he's been told is from Mandalore, and it hints that the planet might not be as destroyed as they think it is. They basically think it's a wasteland, and Mando wants to prove otherwise to get himself back in the gang. So he's got to go and dip himself in a hot pool in Mandalore because metaphors for rebirth and all that stuff. So that's the first part of the story set up. And I've spoke about the main guy, what about the wee guy? So what is going on with Grogu? Because that bit in hyperspace, when he's reaching out for those whales, who are called Purgles, I think, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but they're from the Star Wars Rebels cartoon. So yeah, Book of Boba Fett, we did see Grogu connect with a few animals, so it looks as if this is going somewhere, but I'm not sure where. And are they also hinting that Ezra Bridger's coming back? I mean, that's a total Star Wars Rebel reference. If you've not seen it, you won't get it. But instead of going straight to Mandalore, Mando's off to go and see Grief Karga and Navarro and have a bit of a catch-up. And I said it in my last video, the stuff we've seen from the trailers, Navarro is looking pretty good these days. More like a kind of tourist resort rather than Mad Max Thunderdome. Paved streets, shops, schools, the whole thing. We get a whole loads of dumps from Season 1 with the Stormtrooper's helmet and IG-11. Who they've turned into a statue because he sacrificed himself and all that stuff, if you remember it. But yeah, Grief's now a bit more legit, at least at first glance. He does seem to be having trouble and wants Mando to help him. You know, just sort of quiet things down and achieve peace. So these bandits show up because of course they do. So it was just a good job that Mando just happened to be on the planet at this time, I suppose. And straight away in this scene, when they confront the bandits, they are going right into the whole Western vibes with the bandits harassing the small town and the stranger there to stop them. The whole standoff thing as well is a classic Western, and usually they leave it a few episodes before they get into that. But yeah, this episode, especially this scene, heavily thick with the Western stuff, which I like. I just hope they don't overdo it. We also get a name drop of what's going to be probably a recurring antagonist, Gorian Shard, which is the name of the guy that controls these bandits. So I guess this guy is going to be the new sort of Boba Fett, but I'll get to that later on in the episode when he pops up. So going back to Season 1, we get another name drop in form of Cara Dune, who, you know the whole story with Gina Carano. If you don't, I'm not going to get into it. Are they going to bring her back though with a different actress? I mean, they could deepfake her face. They won't. They could, but they won't. I mean, Gina Carano would sue them, but... And Grief wants Mando to come to Navarro and be sheriff in his town. So yeah, again, complete Western vibes here. This is where the episode kinda lost me, not the Grief stuff. The reason that Mando's on Navarro is he's came back because he wants the droid IG-11 that was destroyed at the end of the first season. And why there's literally thousands of droids out there, apart from maybe trying to get Taika Waititi back into Star Wars, I don't know. But this is definitely the first time that the Mandalorians let me down. Even the other characters in the show keep asking him, why do you want this one particular droid? And the only reason he gives is, he's my friend. But yeah, it seems like he's making his job a lot harder. And what does he want IG-11 for specifically that no other droid can do? I think if they don't explain that, it's going to lose quite a few people. So they try and resurrect IG-11, even though he was quite clearly blown up, and they show it to you in the previous, at the start of this episode. And he wakes up and he's all evil Superman and Terminator and is reverted to his default programming, trying to kill Grogu. So, of course, what do they need? A droid smith so they can get IG-11 back up and running. And it's the same species as Babu Frick from The Rise of Skywalker, which, yeah, no one really wants to remember that. But Babu Frick was at least one, so kind of positive thing in that, I suppose. And these wee guys tell them they can't repair IG-11 without a certain part. So the quest for a droid is now the quest for a droid part. But again, what for? So already, Mandos went to meet the group of Mandos, fought a giant monster, met Grief Karga, tried to save IG-11 and fought a space battle. And of course he's now got to go and see Bo-Katan. I told you there was a lot going on. So Bo's fallen on hard times since Season 2, coming back without the dark saber. She's basically lost all her support. And kind of technically, Mando's in charge of the Mandalorians if he decided to push it that way, or at least the Death Watch. So yeah, as you can imagine, there's a bit of resentment with Bo, but not as much as I was expecting. But he just goes there to get some information on where to find these baths or pools that he needs for the whole rebirth thing, and that's it. So not the reunion I was expecting or hoping for, really, but there's always going to be tension between these two. I didn't think Bo would resign herself and stick to her beliefs so strictly. Because Din just can't give her the Darksaber. I mean, she could just lie and get away with it, but she's not willing to do that. So yeah, I think these two different points of views of the Mandalorian aspect of their culture coming to a head is going to be very interesting. And that's kind of about it. You know, we find out that Moff Gideon's on trial, but I don't see that going anywhere because obviously they're going to play into the whole corruption and Empire loyalist thing. But at the end of this episode, I just felt like, you know, where's the hype? And by that, I mean, a couple of people contacted me on Twitter when I started talking about the show, and they went, is it back on? Because I didn't know it was back on. So is it bad marketing or is it a loss of interest? It's been a long wait between seasons, and again, the shows that they have put out, Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, have been pretty subpar when it comes to it. But yeah, there's too much going on in this episode for me. Everything's thrown at you. With two drawn out battle sequences, with the one at the start and the asteroid one, I would have preferred a bit more plot and dialogue. And the IG-11 thing is really bothering me. I mean, why are they bringing him back? I just don't understand where this is going. There's nothing really special about him. And what really surprises me is, for the third season, this is the first week episode of The Mandalorian, and I'm kind of shocked. The quality of this show, even in the episodes that aren't, you know, going deep into the Jedi or Mandalorian lore, are still always pretty good, but it just seemed in this one they were just cramming far too much in. But as always, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below, or you can reach out to me on Twitter at The Geeks Reviews. If you've made it this far, as always, thanks for watching, and leave a like on the video, and if you haven't done it already, subscribe to the channel. It's just a quick click for you, but it means the world to me, and take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.